Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining me for this segment, we have Sanjana Prabhakar, Product Development Specialist with Nasdaq Investment Intelligence, for a year-end recap of the performance of the Nasdaq 100 that focus on megatrends in the technology sector outside of artificial intelligence. Sanjana, it's great to see you as always. Welcome back to Trade Talks, and looking forward to hearing about something else besides AI. What do you have for us today?
Sure, Jill. So like you mentioned, we are providing a quick recap of the performance of the Nasdaq 100 for the year 2023. In our previous trade talks, we covered the performance of the Nasdaq 100 through multiple angles. We looked at the fundamentals of the big tech companies, including some pretty telling statistics around revenue, net income. And most recently, we provided some insight into AI. This time around, covering some mega trends outside of AI, including how AI has impacted the fields of cybersecurity, cloud computing, and quantum computing. So we want to go into some more details in our slides here.
All right, let's do that. Let's pull up your first slide here. Give us some first half highlights.
Sure. So this slide here captures the performance of the Nasdaq 100. As you can see, we have broken it down into the first half and the second half. And if you look at the first half of 2023, you see that the narrative was pretty much largely dominated by AI optimism. We saw AI emerge as a new secular growth driver, and it largely contributed to the positive earnings surprise for several big tech companies. And if you can see box 3, we provided some statistics on the outperformance of the Mag 7. So if you look at the 3 completed quarters of 2023, you see that the Magnificent 7 recorded an impressive average year-over-year earnings and revenue growth of 142 percentage points and 25 percentage points respectively, and an earnings and revenue surprise of 18% and 3% respectively. And the second half, what we did see was some fading excitement over AI and concerns that weighed on the minds of investors, including 16-year high in treasury yields, an auto strike, and the conflict in the Middle East. We saw a sell-off for 3 months that began in the month of August and ended in the month of November. So you saw the Nasdaq 100 post gains again in November, breaking 3 consecutive months of declines and registering its best month of the year. This was largely driven by fresh gains in the technology sector and signs that the Federal Reserve will likely loosen its monetary policy sooner than expected. And what you can see here in box 4 is some statistics surrounding other areas of technology. So you see cyber, cloud, and semiconductor. You see these 3 indexes registered average performances of 29%, 42%, and 47% versus 42% for AI. So that was pretty impressive as well.
All right, moving along to the next slide here. Of course, tech has dominated the headlines in 2023. Where were you seeing most of that activity being derived from?
Sure. So we have already provided some color into AI in our previous trade talks, but in this slide here, what we have tried to capture is how AI is changing the landscape of other areas of technology, including cyber security, and cloud computing. So as you can see here, with cloud computing, 2023 saw the rise of multi-cloud and AI and ML powered cloud, while 2024 is expected to see the rise of automation, edge computing, serverless computing, and open source cloud. With cybersecurity, again, we saw the rise of AI adoption within cybersecurity. You saw a number of companies that were integrating AI into their security tools and increased consolidation as well. And with quantum computing, another area of technology, we see this likely to be an enabler of other computer-based applications, including AI and simulation. And you have the big tech companies also investing in this space, which is pretty interesting.
And finally, let's get a recap of how 2023 played out in terms of 2022, because I think stocks really gave investors a surprise by just how well they performed in 2023 relative to such low expectations.
Yes, absolutely. As you mentioned, relative to expectations, stocks really outperformed. Investor expectations going into the quarter, going into the year were fairly muted. I mean, there were recession fears, but earnings surprised to the upside. And as you can see in this chart here, we've broken down the full year 2022 performance and the year-to-date 2023 performance. And this actually illustrates a very powerful narrative with the NDX outperforming the SPX by 27 percentage points and the Russell by 43 percentage points and the Q50 by 40 percentage points. So a pretty significant outperformance versus other benchmarks. And I think it illustrates quite nicely the underlying strength of the Nasdaq 100 and the multiple growth levers in place in the technology sector.
All right. Appreciate the insight. As always, Sanjana, thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.
Thank you very much, Jill.